before the slave trades and whatnot. So uh, you're talking about the children of Britain when you're talking about the whites in America. Remember, white children fought their white parents and grandparents. We tell you on other shows about how that went. But we're talking about Britons. And so when you're talking about them getting on a ship, and, you know, they were already well into the slave trade by this time. And so they got slaves on the bottom of their ships, and they come over here and to this what they consider to be a new frontier, a new place that they just stumbled upon. And they see all of these original black native people living this natural life or whatnot. Well, we know for a fact that there was nothing honorable about their intentions when they departed from that ship. We know that they were coming to take over a place that they now knew was occupied, was already being lived on by a group of people. But it was not the first time that they exterminated the people, that the original people living there, the original creatures, animals, whatnot, that lived on the land, in order to place this group or entity of white people that seemed unnatural. Wherever they went, they seemed to, like locusts, just spread and devour the resources of the area. So we know that there was no honor in their intentions when they came here and saw these people. They could have said, okay, well, this is occupied, let us find somewhere else. But that was not what was done. They were like, well, so what? We simply, either they'll move or we'll have to, eliminate them. So here you go. You get off the ship, and immediately, you start planning on your taking ownership of parts of this new place that you've come upon. So we know that the things that they did in order to take that ownership was not honorable. We know about the slaughters and the massacres of women and children, the building of the colonies, and the institution of the slave trade in the new place that they were now in. And we know about them, even disrespecting the British mothers and fathers who sent them over here to do this damage, to take over. And once they did, they didn't even have honor among them, their family members. They didn't even honor their mothers and fathers and grandparents, and that set them up in this new takeover. So that, of course, resulted in a war between the children, who now call themselves the new Americans, the new British Americans, and the Britain itself, that were trying to come and claim this this area that they had basically funded the takeover of. And so you had this war, and in this war, there was not even honor among them in the war. They had no qualms whatsoever about killing Britain, killing their children and grandchildren, and of course the children and grandchildren hating and rebelling and killing the parents and grandparents. So there was no honor in the war, yet you have all of these memorials and images of how wonderful, the honor that Americans felt when they won the war. But you're talking about people who claimed that they were fighting for their freedom from the oppressive parents and grandparents of Britain, while at the same time engaged in a slave trade of black people and the slaughtering of the original native black people. So you know that there was no honor in their calls for freedom and justice and all this good stuff, because they did not in any way believe in that thing. They only wanted it for themselves. They did not believe in it as a concept for everyone. So now you have the war, they supposedly have won the war. And so they go back to business as usual, the enslavement of the black people and the building of this new stolen land with these new stolen slaves that they are now oppressing. So you have a group of slave owners, a group of, remember, you couldn't really be anyone of any importance unless you owned something, unless you were a landowner, and being a landowner entails being an owner of people to work that land. So you have a group of white males that got together and created a document that says that these are the freedoms that we are entitled to from our parents and grandparents, and that we, as new liberated children and grandchildren, are going to go by these freedoms, and this is what we're going to build for ourselves, is a system where freedom reigns, The problem is that the Constitution itself was a document that was for whites only. So here you have a document that most people consider to be an honorable document by honorable men, but in reality, black folks need to understand and look at the fact that this document was created by dishonorable men who actually owned slaves and ran and made laws and did different things to continue and prosper in the slave trade. And the document was meant to exclude anyone that was not in that whites-only category. So the document itself becomes a dishonorable thing. And so now we find we're still looking for where the honor comes in. And so once the document is created, of course, you got the different colonies that don't really have much honor among each other and among themselves. So they immediately start putting in different amendments. Well, I don't agree with this, so I need to include this for my colony and make sure my colony has these things. So, of course, the amendments started coming. So here you have even a teardown, if you will, of the original document, where now they're putting in all these addendums, if you will, and basically trying to make sure that one colony doesn't undercut the other colony, and that one colony is not able to take over the other colony, because in the dishonor among thieves, that is a real and constant possibility. So all of these amendments were put in where, we're going to bring these colonies together, and we're going to create one federal entity. But we need to make sure that we can control this one big federal entity, and we also are able to keep our individual bounty that we have built up and that we have amassed and acquired. so it became a balancing act of, okay, how do we pretend that we're all united